This is Boxing Tickets NI in association with that prize guy. I'm delighted to be joined, but looks like a glorious evening in the south of Ireland with Mr. Glenn Byrne. How are you?
How's it going, Marty? How are you, mate?
I'm fantastic. And yourself, I guess we're just over 2 weeks out now from obviously probably the biggest opportunity you've had so far in your professional career, fighting on a Michael Conlan undercard at the Three Arena. Like you must be loving life right now.
Yeah, mate. 2 weeks on Friday till fight night. Can't wait for it. It's unbelievable. I don't think I actually know myself how big of an opportunity it is or how big the event's gonna actually be. I think it will obviously hit me on fight week, but at the moment everything's just geared towards training and getting ready for the event. But yeah, I think it's very surreal at the moment.
I guess in some ways, like Glenn, you haven't probably I guess when we've done other interviews and stuff, because this isn't the first interview we've done this year, you obviously you're supposed to fight, I think, in February, obviously then with things happened there, and then Galway was cancelled. You're then supposed to fight in Belfast, and obviously getting picked up a small injury. I guess you would have taken all that sacrifice sort of the last few months for the opportunity of presenting yourself in just over 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, 100%. It's been a really, really frustrating year. Going through fight camps and then fights being cancelled, and then obviously, um, August I pulled out myself, due to an ongoing injury. But I'm a firm believer that whatever's happened has meant to happen to get me to the Tree Arena. Um, if I had a fought in if I'd have fought in June or if I'd have fought in August, I could have picked up a serious injury, or I could have something could have happened to prevent me being on the Michael Conlan bill. So as frustrating as the year has been, and it's certainly not gone to plan, it's definitely whatever's meant to be is meant to be, and I feel like whatever's happened this year has put me on the road to the Tree Arena. I think similar to the draw against Charly. If I'd have beaten Charly, I wouldn't be fighting him in the Tree Arena card, and the fight wouldn't be as big as it is for me. So I do believe that whatever's meant to happen is meant to happen, and I feel like that's why I'm getting my chance in the Tree Arena.
Like, I guess, we spoke about it obviously at length, and obviously the Charlie Lopez fight. Did you ever think that that would be the fight that would happen next? Like, obviously there was, the James Freeman fight was made for Galway and it didn't happen. And, did you think that you would get an instant rematch with Charlie? Like, it was such a great fight that had to happen again, but I guess probably it's just the lay of the land sometimes that it wasn't working and there was different options. Would you ever thought that would be next again after April?
I did want it straight away after April, and then the June card came around in Galway, and GBM rather a domestic opponent, so they could sell tickets as well, which is totally understandable. So that's where the James fight came from, and then that was then presented to him for the September card, but it was the declined. So the only other fight I wanted was Charlie Lopez. Don't get me wrong, there's a couple of people who thought or think that maybe it's a little bit early for me to go into the rematch and I should try and have another couple of fights before going into it. But personally, I don't. I personally feel like it's perfect time and it's one that I want to just close. I'm confident in beating Charlie. I was confident the first time, but I know exactly what let me down the first time. So coming around this time, I'm full of confidence, and there's no better stage for me than to do it in the Tree Arena. I could be on the bill, maybe fighting a lesser opponent in another learning fight, which is totally acceptable and understandable at my stage of my career. But it was a fight that I wanted, and Jay and Butch were happy for me to go into it. So yeah, I'm here now. I'm 2 weeks out, and I'm delighted, and I'm very happy that it is Charlie because it was a very entertaining fight, and I think it's helped me sell tickets for the event.
It's like, it gives you that chance at instant redemption as well, obviously after the fight. Like, I guess, Charlie was always going to be in your mind, whether it was 6 months, whether it was a year, whether it was 18 months in the line. Sometimes people have a fight and then it never happens again, you know. So I guess I know Charlie's sort of team have done the business sort of thing, business head, and asked for more money. I know
Yeah.
Jade said that in an interview last week. So like they know that their value probably not up in the fight, but rightly so in some ways, because your fight with Charlie was a fight of the night that night. Like, it was all action for 8 rounds. It's going to have a good audience, whether it's on Channel 5, whether it's on YouTube. It's going to have a good audience, and people are if it's similar to what the first fight was, people are going to be entertained from start to finish.
Yeah, they did kind of back and forth and were trying to get more money and weren't happy with the purse that was offered and stuff like that. But like, come here, as like the points you're making are right. It was an entertaining fight. He obviously feels valued or whatever, but he doesn't have any other options. It's not like he's getting offers from elsewhere and he's declining fights to fight on this bill. Like, boy, looking, he hasn't fought on a card like this. I obviously haven't either, but he's not going to be getting any other offers. So I don't understand why they were. Now, come here. Obviously, everybody wants to get the max they can for their fighter, which is totally understandable. But they're kind of hardballing a little bit, which made no sense. So I'm happy it came to an agreement. I'm very grateful. Jay obviously negotiating again is sorted. Very happy that, and very grateful that Wasserman have agreed to put the fight on the card. So yeah, I'm just really, really looking forward to it at this stage. I've put a lot of work in over the last 6 or 7 weeks, where we're kind of for the first couple of weeks of camp, I was still nursing the injury I had from the August show. As I said, it was only a minor injury. It's actually been bothering me probably for the whole year. Just aggravated pain after punching and stuff. So it was best that I left it go, done with the physio, got MRIs on it, and kind of since my proper camp has kicked off, probably I'd say about 5 or 6 weeks ago, I've been deep into a camp and I've just put everything into this. Every part of my life has just been dedicated towards this, and it's definitely an opportunity that I think is going to pay off for me.
Like over the last year, you've obviously been away sparring, obviously countless people, obviously Kieran at Agyarko and I think Jack Rafferty and things like that as well. Like obviously you banked all that experience. Last weekend you were over with obviously probably one of the greatest coaches Ireland's ever produced with Pete Taylor. How did that go for you? That's that the first time you were with Pete, isn't that correct?
Yeah, so I was over at P Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We done sessions each day. He organised sparring for me Saturday morning, and we done technical work Friday and Sunday, and it was a brilliant weekend. Really, really grateful for this time. As you said, one of Ireland's best, if not Ireland's best ever coach. Obviously, you just had to look at Katie for that, and then obviously at the time Katie won gold, he had Adam Nolan in the Olympics as well. So like he's a fantastic coach. The time and effort he put into me this weekend is going to stand to me massively. Um, he's actually home in Ireland this week, and we've more sessions planned. So there is a lot of work that's getting in. But the 3 sessions alone this weekend, Friday we worked on stuff, and then he got me sparring for Saturday. And the stuff we were working on Friday worked straight away in the sparring, and then the Sunday work was very good, and it was the same. It was pushing on from the stuff we had done on Friday. So for me personally, it was a very valuable weekend. Very grateful for Pete for giving up his time, and then also for Jay for organising it. It was definitely a few things we needed to tweak. It's one thing that I'm constantly trying to work on and improve is me footwork. And I feel like that was one of the big factors that let me down in April. And who better to go to than Pete? Look at Katie's footwork in the Serrano fight, how good she was. And as I said, Jay reached out to Pete, and he's a great relationship with Pete, and there was no issues. And I went over, and like as I said, it was really, really beneficial for me. And I will probably have another 3 or 4 sessions with him before the fight. So I genuinely think that the work he's put into me, Jay has obviously put in countless hours since I turned pro, even beforehand. But this camp, the amount of work we've put in, the amount of time, really since April, every bit of training has been geared towards the rematch. We knew that the rematch was always going to come. I didn't, and this is no disrespect, Rant, but we didn't really feel like we needed to change that. And for the James fight, and we felt that my boxing was fine, so we focused on everything towards this rematch. And I genuinely think that like there'll be massive improvements come fight night, and it'll be a chalk and cheese performance from April.
Is it, I guess I know Pete's got two master classes obviously coming up in Belfast at the start of September and I think at the end of September in Dublin. Like your first hand, you obviously doing them few sessions with him last weekend. That for anybody that's sort of maybe looking at going to them courses, why should they go to them, Glenn? This I guess this is a good selling point for Pete. They say, someone that's come from the outside, knowing how good he is and never had a session with him. How good has the
Yeah.
sessions been with Pete?
I'm not joking. His attention to detail is unbelievable. My footwork, like as I said, the main reason I went over was to improve my footwork. We worked on drills the first day, and they were basic drills that helped me massively. Like I would see them as like, because my footwork isn't great, that I'm like, oh well, I should have been doing this, but it never triggered with me. And he just had me doing certain little things, and they helped. And then obviously from Friday and Saturday, there were still things that I was kind of not picking up or whatever. And then when I walked into training on Sunday, he had resistance bands for me, and he had resistance bands around my legs, resistance bands around my arms. And it was like, to correct my punching, to correct my footwork, everything was like, you need to be doing a certain way. As he had an eye for everything. As I said, like, he's an exceptional coach. His attention to detail is unbelievable. There was things he was like, obviously I only worked with him Friday and then I sparred Saturday, but there was things he was shouting in that were just working. It was like, throw this shot, and it just worked. And they weren't shots that I probably would have thrown too commonly in the past, but it was like, just having someone like that in your corner, it's confidence known. And he is shouting in things that I'm probably not seeing, but he's like, throw this, and I throw it and it's landing. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is very good. So 100%, I think if like his first masterclass is the 7th of September in Belfast, I think.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't fighting on the 5th, I would go to the masterclass. Like, the work I got off from this weekend was amazing, and I praised him highly to Jay, and that's how we've got more sessions. He, as I said, he's gonna come back over. He's gonna be doing more sessions with me this week. And I just can't wait to keep learning. He gave up so much time for me this weekend that I am really grateful for, and it is only going to stand to me.
It's sort of, it nearly sort of makes you scratch your head and sort of go, is he seeing into the future here? Is Pete Taylor get this magic ball where he can see into the future and he can see what's actually working? That's the sort of the impact you sort of have with it when you throw a punch and it works. You're going, how did that happen?
Yeah,
He's probably seen it so many times and knows that it's going to work and it's going to set up your next punch, or it's going to make your opponent think twice. It's got that effect.
yeah, he definitely is a couple of steps ahead, or maybe he's reading the spar and sees your man doing the same thing over and over that I haven't picked up. So, yeah, as I said, like, if anybody is watching this and are in any kind of thoughts about going, like, 100% go. It was like a really beneficial weekend to me, and I genuinely believe that come fight night, the bits that we worked on, the bits that we done, is it's gonna be like, it's gonna be evident in the night, because all I needed was minor things to be changed, that I just couldn't pick up well, or like there was a certain movement I couldn't wrap my head around, and he sent a video over to us a couple of weeks ago of him actually doing it himself, and we picked it up straight away. Like, and as I said, Jay, like, I'm sure there's a lot of coaches out there who have egos and who would kind of probably be arrogant in the situation. Whereas when I mentioned to Jay that I'm struggling with this, he's not a bother. I know the perfect person. So I've like huge respect for Jay for doing that, because he's no ego, and he anybody who can help me, he's willing to take help from. Now this, like, not taking anything away from Jay, because anything that Jay has done with me over the last 2 years has been incredible. Like, I feel that since my debut in November to now, like, it's gonna be what, 22 months since my debut, and I'm fighting in the Tree Arena. And if anybody watched me first fight to who'll watch this fight, it's two different people. Like, it's how fast I've progressed and how much I've come on is down to Jay, and every minute he's putting into me. Like, genuinely, I say to mine, I can only train X, I can only train at this time, I can only train at that time. He kind of drops everything he has for me, which is like, is what I need. And I'm very lucky, because I work full time also, and my time is a bit scattered. So I praise him an awful lot.
Do you think Jay's still been able to live his own boxing career through you? Obviously, be training you. Obviously, you've been his brother. Do you think in some ways he's getting to continue his career? Obviously, he's probably had good things and bad things that happened in his career, but it's good to have someone like Jay. And I know we've spoken about this before. It's good to have someone like Jay. It's been there, but we know that what Jay's like. Like, if somebody offered him a fight tomorrow, he'd probably go with a fight. He's You're stopping him from having that urge because you're fighting and he's getting you to correct wee things. I guess he's doing that big brother thing, but at the same time, it's stopping him from having that urge to go, well, I'll go back and fight again.
Yeah, I do feel like that is probably some of the aspect to it. Like, as I think I said in an interview with you before, I remember we were over. in, I don't know if it was the Josh Kelly or the Fowler fight, and we were sitting there in the dressing room. And he was like, "This be you one day." I wasn't boxing at the time, and so he always had a lot in his mind that I would do it and I would get to the situation, but none of it is possible without him. So regardless of him training me, he also manages me and is getting me these opportunities. Now he's getting me the opportunities because I deserve them and I'm putting the work in and I am grafting and I'm doing everything that's asked of me or everything that's required to get into these situations. So, but I do believe that, like, I think the time and effort he puts into me and everything, like, it, I think he values my career and me more than he probably done for himself. And like, I'm very, very grateful for it because he is literally putting everything into me. He, like, anything I ask, anything I want, he tries. And like, start of the year when I went over to England, he reached out and organised with Anthony Crolla going over to Amsterdam. He reached out and sorted it. He getting these fights, got me onto the Galway card, got me onto this card. I fought in Ulster Hall. So like, he does everything, and I could text him and say, "Oh, did you see blah 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 running the show? Can you ask?" All I'm doing is asking him, and he's asking. And some, like, there's certain shows, and oh, I couldn't get you on that one, but like, everything is through him trying for me. And as I said to you, like, I can't express, and I tell him all the time, like, I can't express how grateful I am for the time and effort he puts into me, and I'm hoping that it pays off for him. I hope that we do both between the both of us. We have a nice career because he'll always be in my corner. He'll always be number one. Management, everything. So I do want to repay him because he does so much for me.
Have you thought, obviously, of that ring walk yet on the 5th of September in the three arena? Like, you've been there in the past, probably watching multiple different events. To now doing it yourself, like, is it now starting? Are you now starting to get to that nervous stage of going, from what you've seen from sort of watching fights and things like that? There, you're now seeing where the fighters are coming from, where the change rooms are. You're not seeing it on TV. You're living that sort of from the opposite angle from what you would have seen previous.
Yeah, so I always find it funny, like, since the fight's been announced, I'm just thinking, like, in May when Taylor fought Cameron, like, that was only 2.5 years ago. I wasn't boxing at that stage, and I was sitting as a fan, and like, I'm a huge boxing fan, and I couldn't believe that Taylor was fighting in the Tree Arena, and I know she had fought previous. No, that was our first fight. The
That's
May
yeah.
was the first fight. Yeah, and I was shocked and I was like, Jesus Christ, this is unbelievable. Again, to watch Katie Taylor fight in the Tree Arena, never could have imagined it. And then I'm looking now, like, 2.5 years fast forwarded, and I'm gonna make the same ring walk that she made. It's nuts. I don't think it's really settled in with me. Like, I know I have known about it for so long. I don't think the occasion will really get to me until the week of the fight, maybe the weigh in and stuff. Obviously, I'm going to be nervous. It's a huge, huge event and it's a huge platform. But if you don't have nerves, I think there's something wrong with you. I think every single fighter will have nerves before they do it. But I'm just trying to tell myself, like, I'm visualizing the night. I'm just thinking of everything, and I'm just trying to put it in the mindset. It's a glorified spar. It's going in and it's just doing what I do in the gym few days a week or whatever amount of days a week, and that's just the way I'm trying to look at it to try and ease the situation. Don't get me wrong, when it comes to it, it's gonna be hard not to, but I'm just fully focused on fighting. I have to get rid of all the outside noise, and because at the end of the day, if I don't win this fight, I'm gonna win the fight. But if something was to happen for not to, I won't get an opportunity like this again. Like, realistically. So, like, that's the way I'm looking at it. Is if I can't beat Charly, and this is no disrespect for him because he's a tough fighter, he's a good fighter, but if I don't beat him, what can I do or where can I go? So this is the way I'm taking this fight, and I'm confident I'll beat him. But I just have to get rid of all the outside noise and just focus on beating him.
Is it you putting that pressure on yourself solely? Is that how you perform best, by putting that pressure on yourself? Because I need to win not only for myself and the selfishness of winning the belt and everything else, but it's for these future opportunities. Is that the pressure you want to put yourself to deliver your very best?
Yeah, like, it's when I'm putting myself through every training session, I'm just like, what's the outcome of this? Like, I have to look at the pros and cons, and everything has to just lead towards me winning. And I feel like really good opportunities will come from beating them and beating them by putting on a really good performance. Like, as you said, the last time we fought was fight of the night, and it was a sloppy performance. I think it can be a really entertaining fight, but with showing class and showing improvements that have definitely been made. Like my sparring's really good, and I've the right sparring. Like I'm sparring Daniel O'Sullivan all the time, who is like Charly, comes forward all the time, as fit as they come, but is way better technically. So the sparring I'm getting is higher level. I'm performing really well. So I just feel like I'm ticking a lot of boxes, but it's a thing that I have to win the fight to progress in my career. And to keep getting these opportunities and keep showing that I'm worthy of these opportunities.
I'm guessing you've sold more tickets than you have for any other show as well. Like, how's the ticket sales been going for this?
Yeah, so in April the ticket sales were really good. I was really happy with it because, but this one is even more. I would think maybe coming close to the event, I'll probably hit about 200 tickets, which I think my first fight I probably sold 50 or 60 tickets, and then it was kind of averaging around 60, 70 tickets, and then the last fight went up, but this fight's after going up more. And don't get me wrong, you obviously have the attraction of Michael Conlan and the Tree Arena, but a lot of the people who've bought tickets are people who've bought tickets off me before. So, for example, they might have come to me first few fights and then didn't come, and now they're coming back, and so it is like I'm building a good loyal fan base, and the ones who miss some fights are coming back. And obviously, as I said, you have the help of Michael Conlan, and like what an athlete, what a boxer. He's an Irish legend, and what he done in the amateur game, and he's obviously rolling the dice one more time, aiming to get a world title. So it's a huge name to fight on the undercard of. The same thing. I'm really grateful to fight on Mick's undercard. But I do believe like the ticket sales have been really good, and it is down to one, I had a really good fight with Charly the first time round, and two, it's people coming to watch me as well. It's not just for the main event.
I guess the thing is, it's getting. I guess boxing. We know obviously how dear it can be. I guess the good thing is it's Dublin, so it's not too far for people to travel. But I guess the thing is next is keeping everybody that comes to this next fight coming to the future fights. But I guess sometimes you're not always going to have 200 tickets to sell for a show. For instance, if you had been saying a stadium show and there's 12 fights or whatever, you might only have got half them a ticket. So you've had more tickets, you've been able to sell a lot more, but it's keeping
Yeah,
these people entertained now when they come to every show.
yeah, well, that's it. There's obviously certain shows you're only entitled to a certain amount of tickets, and obviously this show was a big show, so you can get on tickets. Like we put in a first order just to be cautious, but the first order flew out, and now we're on to our third order of tickets, and there's obviously still availability there. So I do think come fight night we'll probably go through one more order of tickets. But it's as you said, it's wanting people to be impressed and be like, Jesus Christ, it was well worth going, even if it's the ones who aren't coming to see me but have got tickets because of the main event, and Jesus Christ, it was a good fight and I want to watch more of his fights. And I do believe that because of how good the last one was, this one I believe would be better, but it'd be better off my behalf of dictating the fight and showing my ability. I will continue to pick up fans each time.
Yeah, it's one of them that you don't want it to be fight of the night again. You obviously want people going away saying how good Byrne was rather than how good the Byrne Lopez fight was. You want people you want it to be a fight of the night again because that fight the last time sort of you had things to work on. So you don't want it to be a fight of the night this time. You want people going away going, Jesus, Byrne was brilliant.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I'm aiming for, Marty. Like as anybody who was at the first one, seeing how obviously it was an entertaining fight, but it was very sloppy. And but I want people to say, Jesus Christ, that was some difference of a performance. He controlled the ring. He done this. He done that, and he put all the wrongs right this time around and showed how far better he was, and showed that he's making improvements. And I'm not just sticking to a steady pace in the gym and just like not making any improvements. So that's what my aim is, to show all the improvements I'm making and control the fight.
Like this is fight seven as a pro within 2 years. Like when you look
Yeah,
at the opportunities you fought in the Ulster Hall in Belfast, you fought in the Three Arena, you fought in the warehouse, you fought in the stadium. Like you couldn't probably have asked for a happier start, a better start. I guess the better start would have been winning the title in April and maybe fighting for an Irish title now. But like I guess beggars can't be choosers. The opportunities you've had in these 2 years, you couldn't be any happier with how it's went.
no, 100%. And like I'm saying, this year has obviously been, I keep saying it's a really frustrating year, but I have to kind of look back and say, like within 2 years I'm gonna have fought 7 times. Like that's normal, and I'm putting that down to frustration. So I do need to realize that I'm learning. As I said, I'm a firm believer of things happen for a reason, and that's why this one's happening. Um, like there was never in the plans to fight for the Celtic title this soon, and then the same thing. Like I wouldn't have been looking to fight for the Irish title. Like if I win the Celtic title, I still want to drop down and weight. So and then start again at 66. So it's like it is whatever's meant to happen was meant to happen, and that's why I'm fighting Charlie again in the tree arena. 7 fights within 2 years. The venues you said, I never would have thought that when I made my debut. Don't get me wrong, Jay did promise activity, and activity is every piece of activity was there. Any ones I wanted, there were shows I could have fought on, and I chose not to due to college exams, working, and stuff like this. So there was a chance to fight more, but fighting 7 times, I hope win this fight, get back out once more by the end of the year, and that's 8 fights in 2 years, which is good going. Like averaging 4 fights a year is very good, and yeah, I'm really, really grateful for the help and support from Jay and Butch and JB Promotions keeping the shows going. And when I'm not on their shows, they've got me on other shows, and it's very good for me.
And finally, always before I let you go, what can people expect, obviously, out of your performance, Glenn, on the 5th of September? Like, I guess you sort of touched on it in bits during the interview, but what
Yeah,
can people expect out of you? Obviously, I guess you've had more time to adapt to obviously to Charlie Lopez. You've had that training with Pete. What can people
yeah.
expect out of your performance on the 5th of September?
I think if you compare it to April, it's going to be huge differences. In April, I was like a deer in headlights. As soon as I landed a shot on him, I just went gun ho, and I couldn't get any composure. I couldn't keep calm, and he's obviously is a tough come forward fighter, but I I just matched him, and I just went 50-50 with him, just throwing, and I was reliant on throwing a heavy right hand to the body that I should have realised after the first few that it wasn't doing any impact to him, and he just kept coming and kept coming. So it's gonna be a completely different performance. Yeah, it's gonna be a different performance, a really good boxing lesson, and I'm really looking forward to putting on a show and showing the improvements I've made because as I said, the sparring I'm doing, the work I'm doing, the work I've been doing with Jay for the last 7, 8 weeks. As I said, even before that, since April, all we've worked on is improving from the mistakes I made in the first fight, the work I done over the weekend, and then, as I said, there's still another week and a bit of learning, sharpening up, before the fight, which I believe I will gain a lot more. Knowledge and sharpen up a few little small bits, and come September 5th, it's going to be a huge performance.
Do you see you could maybe potentially, with the improvements you've made and the readjustments, you can make a statement and stop Charlie?
I don't want to have anything like that in my head. Going into the first fight, a few people had said to me, "Oh, you're gonna stop him. You're gonna stop him," and I think that's what hindered me performance a bit because in the first round I caught him a heavy right to the body, and I do think I hurt him. And I think even the commentators had said about hurting him. And once I landed that one, I was like, I'm gonna get him out of there, and I just went full. So this time now, I genuinely. I'm winning the fight, regardless if it's point, stoppage, whatever way it is. I don't have anything in my head saying yes, I'm 100% gonna stop him. I'm prepared for 8 solid rounds. I wasn't as prepared last time, so yeah, it's not me mind.
Yeah, it's like a byproduct. Obviously, if it comes, it comes, but it's not
Yeah,
going to be something you're going to go out looking for.
yeah. No, I think that was one of the biggest factors that let me down because once I landed, I still remember it clear as day. Once I landed that shot, I just went all out, and it was silly. It's down to a lack of experience, and I feel like that had to happen to teach me going forward that you can't do stuff like that. And I feel like every fight I am learning, and that's why we're getting the right opponents in. Obviously, we obviously didn't plan to fucking be fighting Charlie twice, but I feel like that's why. And Jay is very good at picking the opponents to teach me. As I said before, I feel like a lot of people, when that fight was announced, a lot of people are like, "Ah, that's a gimme. That's a handy one for him just to get a Celtic title." But it wasn't. He's a solid operator. I think he's 7 wins and 1 loss or something,
Yeah.
and he's had hundreds of kickboxing fights. So he's a well skilled martial artist or whatever if you want to say it. He's been around the block, and we knew we were getting ourselves in for the tough fight. But I just took and listened to a few people saying, "Oh, you'll definitely get him out of there." So it's nothing this time. I'm ready for 8 trees, and I'm gonna go through 'em.
Definitely. But look, obviously, it's always a pleasure to have a chat with you. Obviously, we hope the next week or so we'll probably have camp before tapering starts. Obviously, it goes well for you. We'll obviously no doubt see you in fight week in Belfast. Sorry, in
In
Dublin.
Dublin.
In Dublin.
Yeah.
I
Thanks
wish it
very
was
much,
Belfast.
Martin.
I wish it was Belfast. But Glenn, thanks as always for your time. We'll catch up here in fight week in Dublin.
Thank you very much, Marty. I'll talk to you shortly, mate.
Cheers, Glenn. Take care.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks. Bye bye.